we talk about the business life, not the busy life. I'm your co-host, guest host, Selena Bedore. So today, obviously, Donnie's not here. He's off on an adventure. And so I'm going to fill in for him today, but it's my pleasure because I am sitting across from a wonderful young lady who I'm very fond of. We have the privilege to talking to Kathryn Trout. She's a student at the University of Texas at Arlington, and she has her bachelor's degree in business marketing, not finance, and is currently in the process of getting her MBA. So welcome, Kathryn.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. So before we get into everything, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay.
Who's Kathryn?
I am Kathryn. Nice to meet you. So like you said, I am a student at UTA right now. I got my undergrad in marketing, which I absolutely loved. It was one of those, I went to school for business because I knew I had that spirit, but didn't know the direction, I guess. So it was very broad, which I loved. It was between accounting or marketing, and I chose correctly. So now I'm working on my master's. I don't have a concentration. I'm just getting my MBA, which is a master's in business administration. Mm-hmm. So again, kind of general. I'm a lot of things. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an aunt. I'm all kinds of things. I came from an entrepreneurial kind of family. I didn't think of it that way. To me, that sounds very
kind of fancy.
Prestigious. I don't know. But my dad owned his own small business, landscaping and home maintenance for basically my whole childhood. He was on a volunteer fire department, but that was his career.
Right on.
And then my sister owns a small business as well as my sister-in-law. So I got a lot of entrepreneurs. I just didn't think of it that way until it was kind of put that way for me. But it's very cool. So that's, I guess, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, but it's just grown through my academics because of marketing and through the graduate course. It's just really broadened my thought processes. So that's kind of who I am. I'm a lot of things, but
yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for being here. And so before we get into the good stuff, right, tell us a little bit about your most recent research that you we're doing for, I guess, a class or something of that, because what we're going to be talking about today is entrepreneurs and the research and opening businesses and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about this recent research endeavor that you just went on and what that was for.
Yes. So I am a part of the MBA program, and I chose as an elective an entrepreneurship course. As a part of that course, they require you to compete in what is called a MAV pitch competition.
Okay.
You can do it outside of the course, which I had thought about doing, but I'm so glad I did it as part of the course because you get a lot more hands-on and a lot more feedback for the contest.
Sure.
So basically in the contest, you come up with this business idea. I got to work with my professor pretty closely on my idea for a business pitch, including everything from the initial idea to financials and how the whole process would work. So you really dive deep into it. So other kids took it for the course. I really loved it because it's something I want to do anyway. This is a business that I hope to do one day anyway. So it really worked out in that sense. I got a lot of hands-on. During the research, you came up with your idea, and I had mine ahead of time, so that really worked out. But I learned so much about the industry that I was interested in. You looked at competitors, you looked at land, real estate and stuff, even of like what you would buy and what you would
Share
do.
with us what your dream business is.
I have several. There's several.
The one that you did the research on.
Yeah. So it sounds simple. I did mine on a wedding venue. Okay. So I did a lot of research in that area, in that field, and all of the vendors that are associated with it. Learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know you didn't know, which was very cool.
Yeah.
But for the project, you did all the research and then you live pitched it to a panel of judges, which is a little intimidating. Yeah. I have anxiety and I can't imagine. Don't love public speaking. Rehearsed that for hours and hours. I worked on the presentation for hours and I worked on the pitch for hours, and it was the most rewarding experience. Good. I was lucky Jacob recorded it for me. So I got to watch it back. It didn't look exactly like I wished it would, but I did it and it worked. I made it to the next round, which is awesome. Originally, we did a video pitch, which was everything you had worked all semester for, condensed into 3 minutes.
Wow.
Which is
That's
incredibly
insane.
difficult. I had a script that I read. I was like, oh, this is the perfect script. Let me read it. And it's perfect. And it was about 10 minutes long. So I was like, well, maybe I couldn't say that in an elevator because that's the goal, is to pitch it as fast as
30
you
to
can.
60 seconds or 75 words. Yep, exactly.
So it didn't start out as clean and concise, but I was smart. I used ChatGPT and was like, okay, this is what I have. Condense this paragraph for me and let me rewrite that. So use some AI, which you've learned in the classroom. They really want you to correctly. They say that you're not going to get replaced by AI, but you're going to get replaced by people who know how to use it.
Yes.
So
yes, that is true.
So I did utilize it a little in that aspect, but the original pitch had 80 participants for the video submission, and I was one of 7 that made it to the live.
Wow, congratulations.
It felt really good after all semester work.
All that hard work paying off.
But like I said, you just went into every aspect of it. I can list kind of what there is a model of like what they wanted you to talk about. So you had the problem, and that's something I learned in several classes. You're not selling a service or a product. You're selling yourself, and you're selling a solution.
Yeah, you're solving
to
a
something.
problem.
Yeah,
that's
solutions
in any industry. Yeah, you're solving a problem for somebody. Yeah.
And I think a lot of business owners know that. I think a lot of young professionals have to learn that. And I was lucky enough to get it in education form in a controlled environment. So that was really great. But yeah, you present the problem, solutions. You had to present some traction. So what have you done in this endeavor? So in my case, I talked to a lot of people. I did conducted a survey. I did product development, got testimonials from different people, did all these things and hyped up the verbiage a little. But I mean, that's how you have to present things. So it worked out. Then you look at market opportunity, your competition, money, because at the end of the day,
gotta have money.
Gotta have it to do it. So
takes money to make money, I guess. Yeah.
So I mean, that's that specific class, that specific project. But it was one of the most rewarding, and it's been the most recent, but it has been incredibly rewarding to know what you can do and to know how valuable market research is.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, if you look at it this way, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, small business owners who didn't even go to college. So think about how much a step ahead of the curve you already are, just because you know what questions to ask now, you know what challenges and stuff you may or may not face. So, and a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't have that. So
I was very lucky.
Yeah,
yes.
you're very lucky. Well, I mean, you explained the research to us, so that's great. Can you share some of the most interesting findings from your case studies, like maybe that might help launch it or expand it? Maybe some factors that contributed to your success on that?
One thing is that without passion, there's a lot of people in the class or in the university in general, in life in general, that they want the bottom line, they want the money, or they want to get an A in the class or a C in the class to pass it, depending on the person. So one thing they push, but one thing you kind of have to push in yourself is, what do you care about? I have helped plan several weddings. I am a thrifty person by nature. So, I mean, those fashion and weddings and help event planning and things like that are just kind of in my nature anyway. I come from a large family, so we hosted events a lot. And we did it on a budget. So those are where my passions are kind of drawn to. That's not for everybody. There are some people that would rather sit at a computer and that's their passion, and that's wonderful, and design things or put in numbers. That's wonderful. I think finding your passion is a huge depender or decider on if you're going to be successful.
You got to have a why. You got to have your why, because what happens is, struggles get you down. You go through hard times. You go through endeavors that you just don't see any light at the end of the tunnel, and you got to go back and you got to, okay, why am I doing this? So your why and your passion.
And surrounding yourself by people who share that why or understand your why.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. That's wisdom right there. So you did touch on it a little bit, but tell us some ways on you had to prepare, not maybe necessarily for the pitch, but just for the contest or the project in general.
Okay. So market research was a class I took aside from this anyway. And that is another project where it was a semester-long project, and it's for a reason. It takes a lot of time to plan something that is that important to you, that costs that much time and effort and energy. So in the class, for this project or for several others, and for any person starting a small business, you start with the why and the what you want to do, and then you go into research of those different things of how saturated is the market, and what financials are you going to need, and who's going to help you, and do you want to partner instead of just branch out on your own or franchise, or all these different things. So determining those different avenues is the most important. After you figure out your own why and everything like that. So I mean, different avenues of research. I've gotten lucky, like you said, to do it in a controlled environment. My money was not at risk. Yeah. I mean, I'm on scholarship and I'm getting A's in the classes.
You got to pass to get those scholarships. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not risking my own money and time.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I got very lucky to learn all of it in that sense. But I mean, a lot of different things in research helped. I learned more than anything throughout all of it that I can do it. I can pitch to people, or I can figure out these things in the research. And if you can't do your own research, find someone who can. Maybe not in a classroom setting, but in real life, hire it out because it's worth doing. You save time, you save money. And
hire out what you're not good at.
Hire people smarter than you. Is something I've heard 1,000 times.
If you have a weakness, hire it. You know? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we as small business owners, we sometimes learn that part. We think we got to do it all of ourselves. You know, can't afford it, or got to save money. But in the end, you got to think, long term, right? You got to think out, past that. So to be a little bit more open-minded about that. So in your preparation, in your strategies, would you recommend, or what preparation strategies would you recommend to someone based on your research? For those considering opening a small business, or, how important is the market research process? So research is, to me, a huge thing because it can help save you from issues later. If I realize now this market is just so saturated, or there's not really a place for me, I don't have my niche, I don't have a way to position differently to be chosen, then you save that way ahead of time and find something else that is your passion, or find something else that differentiates you. So to me, research is incredibly important because I'm kind of a risk-averse person anyway. So in entrepreneurship, that's a hard thing to combat because you're already so risky because you're starting something. You're already taking a risk being an entrepreneur itself. So if you can lower that risk, mitigate that risk a little through research, I say go for it. But aside from that, talk to people. You can do online research until your head explodes. Talk to people, customers, professionals, potential partners, all those kinds of things, to just find your people and find people that help you with those different things. Like we said, hire out people. So that know better. When you were talking to other people, were you going outside of the industry that you were looking in, or were you just trying to stay in that industry? Because I feel like some questions asked can go for any business, right? So did you kind of try to stay in your line of industry, or did you go out and... Not at all. I talked to people like the vendors for the wedding situation, talked to different vendors in that industry for sure. That really helped. I also talked to trucking people. I have someone who has kind of become a mentor. You say trucking? Yeah. He owns his own business and is responsible for a whole world that I don't even know of, but he's given me advice in this contest or in my personal life or in business. He's a huge advocate for hiring women for jobs that you don't necessarily think of them for. 90% of his staff is women in an industry that is not common at all. And he did it because it works. And he hires out. He said he learned the hard way, like many do. Hire people smarter than you and don't put all that on you. And look into the people that you do hire because they might sound smart, but you gotta know they're trustworthy too. Yep. So I definitely did not stick in one industry. I moved around a lot, just to kind of get a feel for what are common denominators and then what is special to my industry that other people just don't have to worry about. Yeah. Service industry versus product industry. Yep. Very different. Very different. Very different on how you market, how you sell, your customers, everything. So I kind of went everywhere and in my own personal bubble, just to get any sort of advice I could, which you network anyway that way, which is great. Get people that are out there anyway, which is wonderful, but you get a lot of insight that you don't know how valuable it can be. Yeah, I mean, I think I've been on this networking soapbox lately, and
As is every university around the country. So you're not alone.
But I didn't understand networking until I, got into the Grace Craze and everything. And, finding those like-minded people who are passionate, have the same goals, doing it for whatever reasons, right? It's very important. And so I'm glad that you mentioned networking. And I think that you should continue to network. Even, you're still in school. You still have, a year left maybe?
Yeah.
And if this is something that, you definitely want to do, start networking now and start building those relationships because I find that networking is one of those long-term turnarounds, building the relationships. A lot of people think networking is, getting something out of people, getting business or sales from people. And that comes, but you've got to put in the work and the building the relationships first. So continue the networking, do it even now, find some small groups. I'm sure your school probably has some kind of group you can join that maybe they have dreams to open a business later on and y'all can kind of,
and every university does. And if you're not going to school, you're just doing it the typical. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs do it straight out of high school or wherever they're at or outside of the corporate world. There are so many ways to network. You have social media and things like that, but there's groups you can join and online platforms, everything.
With social media now and the options are endless.
Take full advantage of it.
Absolutely.
I got lucky. I do have a women in business group I'm a part of at the school and different honor societies. And at UTA, they do advocate for find your people, get your groups. So that's wonderful. But like I said, if you don't have that, find it. It's out there.
And you say women in business, I love, love, love my group, and they have made me a better person, and have I gotten business from it? Sure. But the friendships and relationships I've built has been even more. So I love that your school has something. Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about challenges. You did mention a couple, but name 2 or 3 just challenges you ran into and maybe even thought, what am I doing?
So in my environment, in the controlled environment, there were school challenges and life challenges that get in the way. In real life, I think that you have a lot more economic challenges and you have relationship obligations, and just finding that balance is a huge thing for people. Taking on that risk is scary. I think there's a lot of typical things that everyone would expect. It's how you handle each thing that is just a big thing. I know we've talked about it. My dad was very sick and has recently passed away. And during school, that could have been a make or break for me, for sure.
Absolutely.
But I knew myself and I knew what he wanted. And it was...
He would have come back and been like, girl,
all that
get your stuff together.
So, I mean, there are a million things that can go right or wrong. It's all about how you pull yourself together and who you can depend on. I'm very lucky to have 1,000 people that are there for me and are in my corner. And if you don't have those people, you can find them, like-minded people, people that you want to be like-minded with. So, I mean, there are a lot of challenges, some more overcome.
Was there one challenge that you were like, I just don't know?
On this project specifically, I am good with numbers, but with this, you would have thought I had a second grade education. I emailed my professor. I'm usually one to email one time, and I do not want to bother you. I will leave you alone. This man got about 5-10 emails going, I really need your help. If you could spell it out for me like I'm a second grader, that would be so helpful. I don't know how to present financials, especially in this form. It was very hypothetical. I wanted it to be as realistic as possible. But I haven't purchased the land. I haven't, I don't know what it costs to build this specific building. I can guesstimate.
Sure.
Will you help me with that? That was a huge challenge because it was like, I do not want to lie to these judges. I want to be as honest as possible, but I need them to know that it can be profitable. Like, I do have a break even that's not 20 years down the line, I promise. Yeah. So that was personally a challenge, but.
Yeah, that's way above my pay grade.
It was rough.
Good for you. But it's again, find the people asking questions. If I don't have the answer, I'm going to find it. And people willing to be there to answer those questions for you. So from your studies, what are some of the biggest, let's just get general, right? The biggest challenges businesses may face when opening or expanding?
I think a lot of my case studies showed they just didn't market or research enough beforehand or during, they thought the customers will find me. And that's true with social media somewhat. I mean, they will find you.
Eventually,
yes. And we're in a day and age that marketing is everywhere. You can market
where it's at.
Yeah, you can do it, and it's
so
great.
important.
And it's easy. It's much easier, much cheaper to do now. It's also much more saturated, and you have to fight for your spot to be seen a lot more.
You do.
You're not just, hey, I'm going to spend a lot of money on this billboard. It's, okay, TikTok, let me do a 30-second video 100 different times and hope one of them sticks. So, I mean, I think a lot of them, especially small starting off, don't market the right way or don't budget. Or
market enough.
Or enough. Yeah. And then with that comes their financials and like cash flow management. You are bringing in some money and you're spending some on marketing, but you don't know how to correctly diversify where your money's going or how to handle it.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of the cases that I read kind of went down, because then they overinvested and we made a money, so now let's build another one. Well, you didn't plan the right way. You didn't budget the right way. And that's not your fault. You just were overly optimistic. You didn't know. But that's where a lot of it is. So just educating yourself on how to market, how to manage your money, when to expand, when to hold back, things like that were very interesting to find. You just don't know that until you know. And obviously neither did they. There are a lot I could name, but you kind of wouldn't know them because of that, because they did fail or whatever.
Well, and there's so many pillars of marketing, right? So many. I mean, I could list 10 or 11 of them to you. And a lot of people think, well, I'm just going to do one or two of them, but you really need to be doing all of them. You know, I think it's somebody has to see you 7 times in different,
like that,
different pillars of marketing before they even think about you. And so, it's not marketing enough soon enough. And then I think one of the other challenges is patience, you know, and this comes along with not marketing and not managing your cash flow. But a lot of people just they get like a year into it and they're not making money or whatever, finding that it's too hard on relationships or whatever else. And they just like, I'm out, I bounce. And they don't give it long enough. You know, it's 1 to 3 years before you really kind of start seeing traction. And we started seeing that, you know, with Grace Craze and first year. And we're like, what have we done? What did we do?
And then the fear sets in.
And
tensions.
And again, that's those challenges, you know, those fears that come in. What do you do through them? You know, you got to persevere. So, and again, for you to learn this at such a young age, and before
Incredibly
you
blessed,
even, I mean, it's crazy.
Very grateful.
So we think about all the ways and all the things that need to be done to open a business, right? And in our day and age, you have to be innovative. You got to think outside the box, right? Have you come across any innovative approaches in your study, your research that, you know, might mitigate some risks associated with a new location?
From password hiccups, detrimental cyber attacks, modern day tech challenges can impede your business's growth. But don't worry, because F1 Information Technologies, or F1 IT for short, ensures your business's day-to-day operations run smoothly. JP Kesey, co-founder of F1 IT and former guest on The Biz Life, affirms that with F1 IT by your side, your business can navigate IT-related obstacles with confidence and propel forward. Their services include cloud solutions, industrial compliance, IT advisory services, as well as managed and co-managed IT services. F1 IT is powered to serve. Visit f1it.com to discover more. That's f1it.com.
Ready to boost your business's impact? Fully Promoted Fort Worth is your one-stop destination for branding needs, specializing in branded apparel and promotional products. They help attract, retain, and engage customers. From custom uniforms to eye-catching items, Fully Promoted Fort Worth has you covered. Contact them today to unlock your brand's potential. 817-803-4404. Fully Promoted, your success, their passion.
Looking to elevate your office meetings, client gifting, or corporate parties? Check out Gray's Craze, your one-stop destination for delightful catering options. Imagine impressing your colleagues and clients with our large charcuterie board, carefully curated with the finest artisanal cheeses, premium meats, and an array of accompaniments. And when it comes to client gifting, nothing says thank you quite like a luxurious selection of gourmet treats designed to meet your every need. Gray's Craze, catering that leaves a lasting impression.
So there was several case studies, and I did it with the same professor. He did lots of case studies, 20-page papers kinds of things. And you get a huge company. A couple were Facebook and Nike, Eli Lilly, things like that. And you're researching these places, these people, these companies, and they all have different issues, and they're in different industries for sure. And at the bottom line, partnerships in these areas would have helped these companies drastically instead of saying, I'm going to do it all, and this drug at Eli Lilly is really failing, or this thing we did for marketing just really tanked on our shoes or on our platform. They could have partnered with someone who was just smarter in that area.
Yeah.
And our professor really pushed the importance of that. And you have different types. You can do strategic alliances or like joint ventures. And that's, up to your discretion what you need. But that was a really common thing. Another thing was like A/B testing and like surveys and stuff to see where you want to go and what works. So A/B testing, sending out 2 products or 2 marketing campaigns and seeing which one did better, and then using that as an outline and using that for further things. So those are not completely innovative, partnering and doing these different testings or surveys and getting feedback, but what you do with it can be innovative.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I think those different things really help, and we're a big common denominator in 5 different classes and 10 different case studies, that those things are important. I know one thing that I thought was kind of innovative in the weirdest way was the beginning of Airbnb. Do you know how Airbnb started? Because
No, enlighten us, please, because a lot of people probably don't know.
It's very different of, I'm going to come into your home, you're going to stay sleeping there, and I'm going to sleep on an air mattress in the other room.
No thanks.
That is how it started. And that is innovative to solve, the problem of gouging when concerts.
I guess if you had an end in sight.
But they were innovative in how they shifted. Obviously, that is not how it goes now. But it worked then, and what they are doing obviously works now. So, innovative ideas get you places. It's just how you shift with the times, I guess.
That's hilarious.
That one made me laugh when I learned it.
A funny Airbnb story is, okay, so whenever, you've done the Airbnb thing, right? You and your mom and traveling, whatever.
Times,
we do it all the time, mainly in the States. And, you get a key code or, there's a key under the door, or you have to go to a management company to get whatever, right?
I went to an ice cream place once. That was their team.
Yeah. So when we were in French Polynesia, the host meets you at the house and they give you a tour of the house.
Oh.
You're lucky if they speak English, but if not, hand gestures work too. Yeah. But I thought that was like, as an American, we were like, yeah, just let us in and we'll find it. It's 400 square feet. I'm sure we can figure it out. But
I'm pretty sure the bathroom's gonna look like it does at home. We're good.
So I just thought that was funny when you said Airbnb and the way that it's evolved. But some countries are like, oh no, which is hospitable. I get it.
Sweet, but as Americans, we're a little like,
we're like,
we like our space.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's good.
But anyway, that was just a funny story.
Yeah.
But so advice for entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, based on your research or just based on what you think?
I have a lot of advice. Some of it is very cliche. Like we said, networking is a huge buzzword in the industry, in the world, at schools. It's important for a reason.
Yeah.
I have gotten, like I've said, mentors. My scholarship I have scholarships through school. I also have an outside scholarship, and that has all to do with the fact that I met the right person at the right time who was willing to help me.
Yeah.
I have people in my life that I never would have known had I not gotten out a little or someone introduced me at the right time. So networking is super important. Getting into those groups, honor societies, sales clubs, entrepreneur club, all those things in school or outside of school. My thing personally is find your people on a personal level. Find people that support you. And enjoy the steps. I know a lot of people I graduate.
They do.
So
they
soon.
get bogged down.
And I want to make that money right now. Enjoy the steps, even the stressful ones. are things you look back and go, that was so rewarding. That was so hard and so challenging, and I overcame it, and I didn't even get to enjoy it then, but looking back, I did. That's really incredible. So if you can enjoy the steps, I think that is a huge piece of advice that I think is overlooked a lot. Like, it sounds cliche. It's like, a lot harder
enjoy
to
the
do.
process.
Yeah, enjoy the process, because those people put their time and energy. You put your time and energy. It's important to do it because you love it.
Yeah. Yes. Again, find your why. Yeah. So are there specific skills or, experiences that people need to seek out, do you think? If they, not everybody can go to school, right?
Yeah. Yes. I think developing yourself and your brand and whatever you want in that avenue is something that people want to build a resume, or they want this business to start, but they don't know themselves yet. So
explain to me what self-development would look like.
It's different for each person. For me, like I said, I'm an anxious person. So this whole setting is pretty developed. Like, I'm doing more than 2 years ago Kathryn would have thought. So putting yourself out there, meeting those people. If you want to journal. Yeah. If you are a religious person, go to church. If you're a reader, read books. And read things that stimulate your mind. Yeah. And it looks different for everyone. For myself, I got into different groups and made myself talk to people that were just far too intimidating for me to be talking to. And it worked out great. I mean, I've met a lot of great people and had experiences that I think I could have easily, especially as a commuter student or someone who had so much going on in my family life, could have just been like, that's not for me. I got other things to do. Yeah. So just putting yourself out there and developing yourself in whatever way works for you. I have people in my life who've never thought of anxiety. They don't have to deal with that at all. So they're developing themselves in much different ways than I am. Yeah. I'm trying to talk to you and they're 10 miles away doing whatever. Like, it's just different. So, I mean, any way that works for you, because you develop in so many different avenues as well. Like, the human mind is incredible. You got to develop personally and professionally.
It's a muscle. Yeah. You got to work it out just like anything else. And so reading, and it's garbage in, garbage out. Yep. So you got to be careful who you're talking to, what you're putting, what you're feeding yourself, emotionally and mentally, right?
Music has a big one. You listen to sad music, chances are you're going to be sad in a couple of days.
Yeah, that's true. Man, there's just so many different ways that people can build themselves better. So what's next for Kathryn?
For this competition, I have another final round. So I'm going to go through a boot camp. So it's a couple hours every week for like 10 weeks.
Because you need something else to do.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be great. It'll be stimulating. So I'm happy about it. I feel very blessed to be able to be a part of it. I mean, when he told us there were 80 or 100 applicants and we were among the top, I was like, I will do whatever you need me to do to get this learning experience. Yeah. Past that, I have 2 more semesters of school, and then I will have my MBA. And then we either go corporate or we start entrepreneurship right then. It depends, but we'll see.
I think you can, you'd be surprised. We'll see what God has for you, in store for you.
I'll be grateful for any of it at this point. We're good.
Well, okay. So before we take off, right, I know you personally.
Yes.
I'm kind of fond of Kathryn, but we always I know Donnie always likes to close with maybe like a funny story or anything like that. It can be personal or it could be with school. So tell us something give us a funny story. Give us something that or not maybe funny, but like just, would make people laugh. I mean, you just laugh at God and be like,
yeah. Oh my gosh. A funny story on the spot.
Tell us a story about your mom.
Oh my gosh. The fact that I have a mom who thinks she told me not that long ago, Kathryn, what are you talking about? We're 22. And
we are. Okay.
We are 22.
Okay.
The duo of us, I was born 22 years ago, and that makes the we, so you're not wrong. Pretty sure you're not 22, but you spend 5 minutes with her, you'll get a good time.
Oh yeah.
I'm a lot like her, which is great, but I even go, my goodness, she cracks me up though. Yeah. But she said that and that cracked me up.
She's so funny.
Yeah.
Well,
I have nieces and nephews. If you want to hear those stories, they're a handful. Love them.
Yeah.
My
Well, Aunt Kit Kat over here.
my nephew, the phrase for that family when they need a diaper change is, I need to change my butt.
Oh.
So he laid down it was very Bridgerton of what I've heard. His words were, change my butt, Mom. Please change my butt, Mom. But to me, I heard, Mother, I need you to change my soiled linens. Like, that is what his body projected him saying. So I don't know if that's funny to anyone else. I cracked up when I saw the video. He walked up to the video and knew he was being recorded and goes, whoa, Mom. She goes, you want me to stop? And he goes, yeah. Like, this is very private. I got to get my butt changed.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
I think it's funny just because I've met the kid, but
any kid that, oh gosh. He reminds me, the meme right now is the baby that, what did he do? He was like going to the Four Seasons or something. This kid reminds me of him.
Oh my gosh.
Very, very conscious baby.
Well, I would have never known that you were an anxious person or nervous or whatever. I think
I've been told I hide it well.
You
but
do
my
hide it very
hands
well.
and my chat, you would be surprised. I
Are they really
appreciate it
sweaty?
though. Yeah. I love when people say you present much more confident.
Yeah. That's that whole fake it till you make it. That's that in action.
That's another piece of advice. Do that all the time. All the time, fake it.
Yeah.
They never know if you don't let them.
Well, that's kind of how I feel being the guest host today for the podcast, right?
You did great.
We're just going to get through it.
We got it.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for being on today. I'm sorry that Donnie couldn't be here, but couldn't let him pass up this trip that he's on, and hope he's having fun.
Got a Women in Business edition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should come rob his station more often.
Yeah.
No, once every 3 months, because I don't know if I can handle that every month. But thank you for being here. And I hope that anybody out there, if you have any questions or if you're wanting to get on this entrepreneur endeavor, take this advice from Kathryn. I think she put down some pretty solid stuff. So that's all we have for today. Thank you, Kathryn, for being here. And we will see y'all next time on The Biz Life.